Hey, you want to check out what's happening in alternative porn in France? Let me introduce you to Carré Rose Films. Founded by Carmina, a French-Mexican performer and longtime advocate for sex worker rights. This indie studio is doing things differently, putting performers first, pushing for diversity, and tackling industry issues head on, all of which keep all while keeping things hot and fun. One example, check out this series, 60 Minutes with. Carmina meets a fellow performer for 1 hour. No script, no plan, just sees where the moment takes them, and you get to be right there with them. Don't worry about whether you speak French or not. All films are either in English or subtitled, so you won't miss a thing. Curious? Head to carrierosefilms.com. That's Carrie rosefilms.com. Cams.com is a performer-run webcam studio working with models who want to make serious bank doing online sex work. Top Treasure Cams models are earning 100K plus a year, taking home weekly fat paychecks. We have a great affiliate program to reward you for any traffic you bring to the site. We help you set up with equipment, tech, sales techniques, monthly meetings, and so much more. Visit treasurecams.com to learn more about us and to cam with us. Have you ever been looking for an amazing queer cam performer? Well, I got you covered. You should check out TS Cami. Her super hot content is on Chatterbait, Twitter, Xhamster, and Reddit. Support this rad trans femme. Enter your fantasies. Big Fantasy is a porn star, stripper, femdom, and expert making your fantasies come true. Explore Fig's secret, luxurious world at AQUATAFANA collective.net and at Figs Fantasies on OnlyFans and Figs Fantasy on Instagram. She's waiting for you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Performers Pod. I'm Chelsea Poe, and today my guest is Valentine Vonbettie. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited to have you on. I feel like you have been such a constant, like the queer porn world, and you've always are making consistently great stuff, and how much you're involved in activism is just like really amazing to see. And I love when we first got on the call, I'm like, we've definitely met, but we have no idea where we actually met.
What is time? I don't even know anymore. I mean, and it's also funny when you meet someone offline, you're like, how do I refer to this person? I like it becomes a mismatch of like our aliases, our real identities, our porn performer name like identities. It just becomes this sort of conglomeration of all of that.
Totally. I just always go by Chelsea everywhere. My actual
Yeah.
legal name is very hard to say, and that was my whole struggles growing up. Everyone assumed it was another name. So
Hmm.
I'm just like, okay, once I moved out to California, I'm like, I'm just gonna be Chelsea all the time, and now I never have to explain the concept of my name, which is really nice.
Yeah, I also just go by Val in my regular life
Hmm.
and Val or Valentine. And I mean, it works great like 85% of the time. And then I have friends who are not attached to the sex working world, or I have family, and then they call me by my legal name, and it's jarring. I'm just like, ah, where did that come from? Who's
Yeah,
that?
it's so weird. Like, especially when you have friends who you knew before who are now also in sex work, so they know you by
Hmm.
your real name, and I'm just like, very strange,
Hmm.
very strange.
Hmm.
But so are you originally from Oregon? I know you're doing a lot of advocate. That's where you're based now, right?
Yeah, I actually am hoping to be in the Bay Area because I applied for a job
Oh
there, a
my
vanilla job.
God.
But we'll see. I don't know, but it's and this is a podcast, so like who knows how relevant this is going to be and like whenever, but you can always edit it out. I
No,
guess.
we're gonna leave. This is about leaving
Okay,
everything. It
cool.
is
Just
is that
candid.
as I gave you the gist of like, whenever anyone's like, I kind of have a long story. I'm like, this is literally what it's for.
Yeah, this is literally for that. But yeah, I grew up in Washington, so not very far. I
Okay.
haven't lived in many other states, but I have traveled through most of the United States. And yeah, I found myself in Oregon. I took a year off here over the pandemic to move to Columbus, Ohio for a little bit, and then I moved back. And yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with Portland specifically. I love the people for the most part. I mean, there's infighting and the whole thing and blah blah
Hmm.
blah, small community. But financially, it is not a place that I would ever invite someone to be like, "Hey, do you want to make a lot of money? Do you want to be like, I don't know, I feel like yeah, it's just it's a place that I have a love-hate relationship with, but yeah, SF might be in the cards for me
I mean, I
soon,
would love for
so
you to come here.
I would be
Yeah.
so excited. It was a bucket list item to like a lot of people when they meet me, they're like, "Oh, are you still in San Francisco? Or are you still in New York? Are you still in wherever?" I'm like, I haven't left where I live,
Yeah.
but I travel, I guess. So I don't know. But the Bay used to be my like playground. I used to love going there and just getting
Yeah.
into some debauchery.
It's starting to come back. I feel like I think a lot of stuff has changed, but it feels like
Mhm.
really grassroots now, like everything, especially like with the queer porn scene, where most of the
Mhm.
studios are gone now. So it's just like people making it on their own, which to me is like super
Yeah.
refreshing. That's just like, oh wow, people are doing it on their own terms. And I feel like that's what it really should be like
DIY.
focused on is like people actually from SF and not just people who are like, okay, I'm coming here to become a porn star.
Which is so funny to think about. Because I mean, San
Yeah,
Francisco definitely has like that scene, but it wouldn't be a place. I mean, like it's not. I guess for queers, it would be a place where you would be like, I'm gonna go be a porn performer, but like it
it
doesn't
was
seem like that.
like 13 years ago. Now, like,
Yeah.
it just feels like there's shadows of everything here. Like, I'll like drive past
Mhm.
the place and be like, I did a gangbang there once, and now it's just empty.
Memories, the
Right?
fond memories. I got peed on in that alley. Oh my God. So
Um,
sentimental.
yeah. So when did you get into sex work? I was reading you got into sex work like pretty early, right?
Yeah, I've been a sex worker for 15 years.
Congrats.
Ah, it's
It's so
weird.
amazing.
It is, it's pretty fucking awesome when I think about it. I'm like, wow, like I have lived a very interesting life. But it's so funny because I think about the number of scenes that I've done, and there aren't that many scenes that I've done. I've just been doing it just my way, right? Like I'm not
Hmm.
just pumping out material. Oops.
I mean,
Um,
that's so important to
yeah.
like do it at your own pace and not like get burnt out.
How long have you been in? Because we've been in for
Yeah,
very
you're a little
similar
bit longer than
times.
me. I started camming in 14 years. It's gonna be 14 years in like November.
See? That's
So
amazing.
we're both, I feel like in this industry, like the average career is like 2 years.
We're
So it's like we've
geriatric
seen
now.
like five generations of porn performers and stuff. It's crazy.
I mean,
So
let me ask you though.
yeah,
I mean, it's so relevant, right? Because I mean, how many people did we see do like, crash pad their one time
yeah,
and then
one
they just like
time.
disappeared. They just disappeared. Like that was their name to fame. They're like, I'm gonna do one scene and it's this one.
I mean, it goes back to like when people were moving here to be a porn star. It was like a hip thing just to be like, oh, I just did one crash out scene. And it
Yeah.
was like a weird like social thing where like social credibility on Tumblr and shit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, it's funny when you think like just all of the little things, like I'm sure you and I have both been viral on Tumblr at some point.
Yeah.
There's like those one set of pictures that just went like off the rails and
Yeah.
nobody knows who we were because we were just like some indie performers, right? Just doing whatever
Yeah.
we were doing. We're just
Yeah.
models.
Yeah, I had a bootlicking scene that went viral and they thought I was cis and they thought the boot belonged to a man. So there was like all this like women need to learn their place. I'm like, you know that's like a lesbian scene, right? With a
I'm a
trans woman
dyke,
who's
thank
like
you.
on
Like
some
I'm a
like
trans dyke. It's weird though, like when our photos and our likeness become like circulate in those circles.
Yeah.
I'm just like, how did this happen? This is not meant for that. But what, okay. Okay, sure.
Yeah. Was Crash Pad your first scene, or did you shoot something in like the Pacific Northwest? Because
Yeah,
there's
my
always stuff
first
going on up there.
there is and there isn't. Like when I so I'll answer your first question.
Yes.
My very first like quote unquote scene, I wasn't even like part of the scene. It was for Toby Hill Meyer
Okay, so very
for
Pacific
Handbasket.
Northwest.
Very DIY, very early queer like smut. But I was like, I remember being on the porn set. I was a background person. Like I just helped create a mood. And then Toby asked for me to actually perform. And then that was when I did my first scene with another adorable trans woman. And it was for their whole kind of docu-series of different interconnections between cis and trans lovers. And
hmm
yeah, it was really nice. And yeah, I didn't expect to get paid, but I did. And I was like, cool.
That's
I got
great.
paid for my first porn scene. And then Crash Pad happened a little while after that in 2011.
Oh wow, so you were definitely like doing it. Yeah, I didn't start shooting with Crash Pad until 2013. So you were like
Yeah.
of the era where I watched Crash Pad as a viewer.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. It's wild. I mean, I don't even think that they had done anywhere near their like first 100 scenes yet.
So you
I
were like
think that they were,
very in like the peak when you came here. Like that's when
yeah.
it was really still like fully going
It,
on.
Yeah, because I remember someone long ago when I was actually quite a bit younger had told me about Nofo um
Yeah.
with Courtney.
hmm
And I was like, oh, that sounds really cool. And so when I got older, I started checking out more like queer porn. And then those were like the two heavy hitters that I knew of at the time.
Yeah, that
So I
was
was like,
like the scene here for sure.
mm-hmm.
Um, is like the queer porn world, is that like what's inspired you to get into sex work, or was it like more of
Mm.
the financial reasons to get into sex work originally and then you kind of found?
So I I have an interesting relationship with how I started sex work. I used to say when I was younger I wanted to be a stripper because I was watching Jerry Springer and I was like, wow, like every time I had strippers, I'd be like, they're so pretty. Like I just want to be a stripper.
That's such like origin stuff. For me, it was the show Girls Next Door where I was like, "Oh wow, like that's so normal. It's just like
Yeah.
a porn shoot." Yeah.
Yeah. It's just Playboy bunnies doing whatever.
Yeah.
And I mean, actually, like my first inspirations were pinup and Suicide Girls. Like I was like,
Yeah.
I want to be alternative. I want to do something cool. I really loved Pink and the artist. And
Oh, okay.
yeah, so I was like, I really wanted something that fit like my quote unquote rebellious mentality.
hmm
But mostly I just wanted a place to feel unique in my personal look and expression and whatever. Um, so I actually started dancing pretty early. I think I was 18, 19.
hmm
Like I was waitressing at a strip club and then I became a dancer before I was 21 because in Washington they didn't serve alcohol at the time, but now they do.
Oh,
Um, and so I grew up like already being kind of like a sexual person. Like I just kind of wanted to express myself and explore. And I think being a dancer and then getting into queer porn, I was also at a vocational school. So like I was training to be a firefighter in the
oh wow,
wilderness.
that's so badass.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So so yeah, I mean that was the thing. It was like for me, I never thought of sex work as a thing for money. Like I did and I didn't, but like dancing was not something that was super lucrative. Um, and I actually made more switching from dancing to doing peep shows. So but it felt great because I just had like a wall of
Yeah, you don't have
plexiglass between
to.
me and I didn't have to interact with anybody, but I still made the same amount, if not more money. And then I got into porn, but I was also in vocational training, so I would have to like go to Eastern Washington and come back to Seattle and do that. So I was then in 2011 started officially firefighting, and I did firefighting for 7 years
Holy shit. Wait,
while,
so you were doing porn and firefighting at the same time?
yeah, I was always doing sex work
This
on
is
top of fire.
literally the reason why, like, why I have this podcast, because, like, I feel like we all have, like, narratives about, like, who porn stars are and stuff. That you were a firefighter,
Yeah.
I feel like everyone should
That's
know that that's so badass. Oh my God.
it's really funny because I talk about it occasionally, but like I don't want to it doesn't have the same valor as like, ex-military, even though it's the same principles. And a lot of people would think differently, right? I mean, you
I
live
think
in
it's cooler
California.
than, yeah, I mean, especially now, like,
Yeah,
after what
like
happened in LA, like, firefighters
yes.
are, I feel like, at peak.
Yeah. And I mean, and a lot of people for second thought I was like a stripper firefighter. Like I would dress up like a structure firefighter and strip. And I was like, no, more grungy, more dirty, more hiking around in the wilderness firefighting. But yeah, I mean, I thought I was going to stay in that career for many, many years. And I did, but it was untenable at a certain point. It's just a lifestyle that's really hard. And so yeah, I left firefighting in 2016, but yeah, before then I would do the fire season, and then my off season I would come back to wherever I wanted to go, or I would travel because I had about 4 months off, and then I would do sex work in the interim. But like, yeah, no one gave a shit. Like no one gave a shit I was a dancer. Like I would tell people on my crew, like nobody gave a shit. Like they were just like, cool, great. We don't care. Um, so yeah, this whole like idea that, we can't have professional. I worked for the federal government. Like
Yeah.
nobody gave a shit. Like there's just like I've had government jobs since then, like, and that's essentially what I'm applying for in the Bay. But it's this very strange idea that we can't be doctors, lawyers, nurses, firefighters, whatever,
Firefighters.
and be a sex worker. And I'm just like, I don't know who created that rule, but that's not how this works.
Wow, that's so
Um,
badass. I can't see. I now almost have more firefighting questions than more questions where I'm
oddly
like,
enough, I have another friend who was a firefighter, same thing, and a stripper. Like she also did the same thing. Like she never got into porn or other sex work, but yeah, she and I were in the Forest Service for a long time and did dancing on the other, like in our off seasons, because we knew that it would be just as much money, if not more. Um, but also it's just nice to feel like you can connect with yourself in that way after such a long season of dealing with like douchebaggery.
yeah, I feel like there should be like some mainstream company who should offer you like $100,000 right now after all the fire stuff in LA and be like, we support our firefighters.
I mean, and I wish like that's the thing that I kind of miss is like the glory of it, because there were some times where it was really emotional. Like we are trying our best to like help a whole town,
Yeah.
and we're just like only able to do so much, and like you're just watching people just like pour gratitude to you, and you're just like, I'm just a simple human digging a trench. I don't deserve this. Like you're just like, this is so much. I'm
Yeah,
not doing anything.
it's such like
But
just
you
a different
are.
mindset on like the West Coast though, where it's like this constant thing and it's like
Hmm.
I definitely feel like even just like compared to even like soldiers here, I'm like, oh wow, they're the actual people preventing like scary shit to happen. Like we had the day the sky turned orange in San Francisco. I don't know if you saw that.
No.
Yeah, it was in the middle of the pandemic. And it was like during the lockdowns after Louis Vuitton got broken into and stuff. So like you couldn't leave the house.
Oh
And our
my
skies were bright
gosh.
orange and it was just like, okay, anything for this not to happen again would be great.
Hmm. I think right, yeah, yeah. Like sometimes I do use my fire knowledge to be like, okay, don't freak out, people. It's okay. Like watch the fire map. Be ready. If you're not in an evacuation zone, there's no need to freak out and panic. It's okay. And it's just it's interesting like watching people struggle with that. And I'm like,
For sure.
the fire's not even anywhere in your direction. And like it's okay.
I
But
just feel like
yeah,
it's such a primal fear that
it
people have where it's
is
just like, oh, there's this thing that could just take
like
anything,
everything else.
basically.
Absolutely. It's scary. And you don't really know what to grab. You're just like, okay, like myself, my family, my loved ones, my pets,
Yeah.
documents, and that's it.
So
I would grab my
you were
Hitachi.
so you were doing this for like 6 years, going back and forth, where you would spend, is it 4 months for firefighting or six
Hmm.
months?
It's 4 months, so it's 4 months off of the
Okay.
season, the fire season. Yeah.
So it would just be like, okay, I'm gonna do this, then I'm gonna do sex work,
Hmm.
and just back and forth.
Hmm.
Did you
Yeah,
have
it's
to have
great.
like a major pivot in your mind? Because like obviously they're both physical. Obviously you're both have to be like very in yourself for both those things. But did you feel
Mm.
like there was a big pivot you had to make, or was there some kind of mutual crossover where it's just your life and they're both kind of part of it?
Yeah, I think for me it was a break. It was like I mean, I never felt like I had to be anybody other than myself, even when I was firefighting. And I think that's the glory, specifically around wildland. Like you can look all sorts of ways. Like it's not a super professional looking job. Like you don't have to be clean cut. People expect you
Yeah,
to be
for
kind of like
sure.
messy. So I feel like aesthetically, like I could be a little grungy, gremlin who like gets dirty and doesn't shower for 14 days. Sometimes they would have showers, but yeah, like we're gross. So like I didn't really feel like the sexy side of me really got to shine through in that, and like that's fine. That it doesn't need to.
Hmm.
But I think after I was able to like fully let that go for the season and go back to wherever I was at, and then just kind of like, okay, I can shower, I can put makeup on, I can look pretty again, and like, you know, I was also working in a small town, and a lot of people didn't quite understand me as a person, and that's okay. They weren't meant to. So sometimes I would get like little snarky comments about like me showing off my body, and like it was usually like one or two people, and I'm like, wow, like you two are just really miserable and I really feel for you. But that's okay. I mean, it obviously didn't stop me, and obviously like I continued into this path of where I wanted it to
Hmm.
go. And after I left after I left firefighting behind, I was like, okay, like I can fully be myself. I can fully experience whatever I want to, and I don't have to worry about having to switch back and forth. So I wouldn't say there was like a full switch, but I would just say that I kept each thing in its container, and there was
Yeah.
no reason for it to really cross over.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like I mean, just like whenever I see like the people who are working actually like in the forest, it looks like you're in like ready for like literally war. Like it's so crazy. Like all the equipment looks all deformed and stuff, and it's just
Hmm.
very the
Yeah.
opposite of like, oh yeah, I'm gonna put makeup on. I feel like it would just like instantly melt off.
I did occasionally put eyeliner on just because I wanted to do that for myself. Um, yeah. It definitely, I mean, like the thing is we're never going to be that close to the fire. Like that's the whole point, right?
Hmm.
And I think for a prescription fire, when we're actually setting the fires, that was my favorite because we get to control it. But then there would be times where, yeah, it would get a little spicy, get a little out of hand. Also lightning. I developed a newfound fear of like actual downstrikes of lightning because it got too close for comfort. So
Oh
like
my
you
God.
just develop these like strange things because like when you are in nature like that, like you are seeing the rawest like parts of nature. Like watching a thunderstorm roll in, watching the lightning happen, wind, all of the things. Like just it's so strange because you're like front and center with nature, and nature is powerful and scary.
Especially out here, like in Michigan, we get, I'm originally from a small town in Michigan, so we get like, snow, we get thunderstorms, but there's no
Mhm.
repercussions. I feel like in the West, everything has a repercussion where it's like if there's lightning strikes, there's gonna be fires. If there's rain,
Yeah.
there's gonna be flooding. It's just like everything actually matters here.
hmm I mean, Oregon's last big fire was caused by a kid throwing fireworks into a canyon. That's a very common thing. Like a lot of times kids and fire start wildfires.
It's so crazy because literally right before I got on this call with you, I was watching a thing. Do you know the documentary in Channel 5?
Mm-mm.
They're like anarcho like DIY sort of like news station, kind of like early Vice style. And they were
Okay.
literally interviewing someone about how to prevent forest fires in LA and like all this stuff and preventative fires. I'm like, how is this the same conversation? But very good primer. I was literally looking through your like biography and that at the same time, and I guess they really go together.
hmm Yeah. And it's, fire prevention is like this whole thing that people have to practice. And also, some people really just don't need to worry about it. And they're just like, what can I do? And I'm just like, just, it's okay. You don't have to do anything.
So when you decide to do like porn full time and just like sex work full time,
hmm
was it really just like, okay, I'm all in, I really want to put all my effort behind this? And is that like also when you got more involved in like advocacy?
Yeah, I would say that I have lived many different lives in the sex work realm. I have been someone who can pick up and go and travel and meet a bunch of people and do a
Hmm.
bunch of things. And now I'm more in this sort of grounded part of my life where I'm very discerning. I'm very mindful, I'm very demure and mindful of how I enter the sex work realm and who I work with, how I want to
Hmm.
work, the things that I want to create. And I think that leaning fully into it was really scary and hard because I was like, I had this comfortable position for years where I didn't have to worry about a lot of things.
Hmm.
And I think in 2016, when I came to Oregon, I was expecting a little bit more. To be honest, like Portland was not my choice. I came here for a partner at the time.
Oh, that makes sense.
Um, I would have I probably would have rather gone elsewhere. But I was here and I met a lot of sex workers, but I was realizing that I was not meeting a lot of porn performers. And I was like, okay, there's a hierarchy here that's very disconnected. And so I expected, I think, a little bit more oomph in my porn career by living here. And it really didn't, it never kicked off. So I was just like, there aren't that many people doing porn here. And, or they're the kinds of people doing porn, but not with people who look like me and or it's not it's more erotic. It's not porn,
Yeah.
and so it's like cutesy and like, oh, I'm gonna hit you and speck your butt, like whatever, and
Yeah.
that's fine, totally cute, great, beautifully aesthetic, not for me.
You want porn where there might be fisting.
Yeah, yes. I'm like, are we actually fucking? Like, and I did meet some really lovely people early on in their careers and they have since retired. And I have people that I work with consistently because we have been reliable for each other,
Mhm.
but it's really challenging for me to, at this point in my life, chase people down, try to work with people. Like I've been more focused on doing in-person work and or just trying to focus on trying to get back into government work because I'm like a lot of people don't live over here and it's expensive to travel and stay someplace on a whim that someone might cancel
For
on a
real.
shoot. And I'm like, it's too much of a finance game at this point for me to do that, take that risk. Whereas before, that was the beauty of being a firefighter and having like the the extra income to like pour into my sex work. And like that's what I think a lot of people don't quite understand. I'm like, if a lot of us skirting that vanilla sex work life, like we're using our vanilla funds
For
to like,
sure.
to push our projects and things like that. But yeah, I think right now my focus has been shifting and has kind of always been shifting in where I want to be. What do I want to do in sex work? And it's challenging because the world is changing constantly,
For
obviously.
sure.
Yeah. How's your experience been in that?
I mean, I think as you said, I think as you get older and your career like evolves, you get more selective about what you're doing, you know? Like before, as you were talking about when shoots get canceled, it's a lot easier to spin that when you're 20s, in your 20s and be like, oh, well, I'm still in the city for a few days. I'm gonna do something, you know? Where
Mm-hmm.
now, if something happens like that, it can really feel like a waste. Like I went to Vegas once. I was supposed to be in the shoot that I was really looking forward to. There was like industry-wide testing problems. My test was inconclusive. My partner got a false positive.
Mm,
Where it's like, oh my God, I'm in Vegas for 3 days and I was just here a month ago. What am I doing here? It's a lot easier
mm-hmm.
to get into that mindset, I think, now than when you're 20, where you're like, oh my God, I'm in Vegas. This is amazing. Where like your first
Yeah.
few times having these experiences, it's very new and fun. And then after a while, it can get very, you know, like, oh, I shouldn't be here doing this right now. This feels like a waste of my time or energy.
Yeah. I had a very humbling moment, um, not for porn, but for providing, where I was in New York and I was super confident that I was going to do great because I had in the past, right? And
Mhm.
so I should have really only stayed for a few days and seen the people who I knew were going to show up, and I did a really hot shoot, um, and or a couple of shoots, but I really hurt myself by staying longer than I should have, and I was like, it was dead. Like the inquiries were dead. I was like, wow, I really, really effed myself. Like in this situation, like these are the situations that I wish people would understand that happen in sex work, where it doesn't matter if you're trying to light up a porn shoot, it doesn't matter if you're trying to see a client, whatever, 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 conference. The fact
Yeah.
that things will happen out of your control and the things that like happen with cancellations, it feels like you're hemorrhaging money. Like it doesn't even need to feel that big, but it will because you're just like, shit. Like I tried to plan all of these shoots. I paid for a
Hmm.
conference pass, whatever, paid for a space, paid for my makeup, paid for whatever. So you just feel like you're hemorrhaging money when those things fall through and it sucks really big.
For real. I especially feel like the big conventions feel like the most stressful. Like
Hmm.
AVN, I feel like everyone's at like their most heightened senses. It's just
Hmm.
like so dramatic. You see like friends have like meltdowns and stuff, and you're like, girl, you would have never
Hmm.
done this anywhere else, but and then you just try not to be that person who's the one having the meltdown, which is also hard. Like I've been there.
I was gonna say, like, do you feel like you've been to an equal amount of conferences and film festivals, or do you feel like you've prioritized one over the other, or
Um,
both?
I think I've probably been to more like conventions and award shows just by a few.
Hmm.
Um, I love film festivals so much. Like
I
that you're one of the
know.
few other people who's in both worlds. Like
Hmm.
that's like about the medium and like everyone's chill for the most part. Like I've
Hmm.
had some issues with some film festivals, especially like really early in my career, like trying to restrict my screenings outside of film festivals in that same city, where I was like,
Hmm.
"Oh, I'm in the film festival in New York, in Manhattan. I'm gonna do a screening in Brooklyn." And they're like, "You're not allowed to do that."
Wow.
Yeah. So like I'm not gonna say film festivals are all perfect, but I do just like, when people actually get to see each other's work, where I feel like AVN and these award shows, it can get so competitive because people don't. actually see each other's work and there's like, oh, some random movie beat me instead of being like, oh, I saw this movie, it's really good, you know?
Right. Like that's worth beating me. Like totally fine. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
there's a few
just ex
things that I've like been against. Like I was up for my first movie was up for best soundtrack and we lost
hmm
to a Jersey Boys porn where they re-recorded all the Jersey Boys songs, like the musical, and they redid the entire thing and they made it all sexual based like lyrics. I'm like, wow, I can't be mad about that.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
That's a pretty interesting tale to choose, I guess. But I haven't seen it, so it could be amazing. I don't know. I feel like that, like anytime I see like four chambers in a festival, I'm like, yes,
Fuck yeah.
yeah, I yes, I respect the win every time because I'm like, I've
Yeah.
worked with them and I know what that process is like for them to film. And I'm just like, this is such a labor of love in every single shoot because of just the weird creativity that happens. And in my scene, we were just like on the floor getting poured water all over us for like an hour. So I feel like the behind the scenes of their particular films, like always, I'm like, yes, I know what goes into those scenes. I know what, but
It's their
I
shit's
don't
so
know.
cool because like at first when you first start working with them you're like, oh, is this gonna be very professional? And then you realize it's just like a bunch of queers and they're like, I have this like texture idea and we're just gonna
Yep.
like throw it and like
Yep.
hopefully we get something out of it. We might not get anything though. And just like
Then,
that's always their
oh,
mindset going into these shoots where it's
yes.
like so vague, be like, yeah, just like we'll make something. I don't
We're
know.
gonna get messy, we're gonna get creative, and then you're gonna get paid well. And it's just like, what? What? This is great. Like, there's no pressure here. It's just, yeah, like you said, a bunch of queers just like doing a mishmash of like whatever. And then it just ends up being art and it's
Yeah.
beautiful and it's so good.
Yeah, that's like honestly one of my best like favorite people to collab with just because it doesn't feel like you're on a
Mhm.
porn set even. It's just like, oh, I'm making some weird shit with my queer friends.
Yep. That's exact. I mean, and I would say that anyone like who is listening to this, like that is the collective difference in our experiences. Like a lot of queer indie porn sets are like you're just hanging out and then
For
you're just
real.
like, oh, did you have a snack? Did you drink water? Like we're all just like self-caring. Like, oh, did you need, whatever before we get started? And then it's done. And then you're just like, okay, cool. I feel really good about that. Like it's nice. It's a really nice feeling.
I feel like after the pandemic, just like being able to have those experiences again and being like, oh wow, we all created something. I think that like almost like got me back in like fully committed because I'm like, oh, this is a new creative thing again. Where I feel like
Mm.
after a while, like, we've both been in the industry for a long time, it becomes a thing where it's like, what do I do next? I feel like I've kind of done everything.
What are you doing right now? Like what does it feel like for you in this current timeline? Like what's exciting you right now?
I mean, I think for me, it's just like whenever I travel and stuff, I'm like, oh, I can shoot a few scenes here. That's
hmm
great. When I was in the Netherlands last, we shot an orgy and like we had like two people who were sex workers in government. Like one ran for parliament and I saw them get fisted. I shot the videography of them getting fisted. It's just like, yeah, that's just
Yes.
like part of
Yeah.
Dutch culture, which I love.
The
But yeah,
initiation of Dutch culture is getting this.
it's so great. It really is. But yeah, I think that's like just what keeps me going is like these creative experiences and people having ideas that are like, hey, do you want to do this? And it's like, fuck yeah, And I think helping people who have these ideas be like, oh my God, my expertise on this can make this happen. Like
Mhm.
that's what gets me stoked. And like having people have their like first experiences, like AVN this last year. Anna Lynx never went to Vegas before or AVN and being like bringing a new person in. That's the
Mhm.
shit that makes me really excited. I'm like, I get to share these experiences with people who haven't had it. How about yourself? Like, what keeps you still in it?
I think that I think a lot of us at a certain point, we either keep creating, but we're kind of like, what's a passion scene? Like what's a goal scene? Like who do I want to work with? Who do I want,
Hmm.
like what do I want it to look like? And I think, like you said, I've never really wanted to be a parent, but I feel like caring for like younger sex workers and getting to
Yeah.
network for them and like tell them all of our experience is pretty awesome. And watching someone like light up and they're like, "Oh my God, that's a great idea," and you're just like, "Ugh, I'm brilliant." Like I have the knowledge and power to help you. Um, no, it's just very fun and so sweet to work with people who are either vets and they know what they're doing and
Yeah.
we both have our priorities straight versus people who are coming into the industry and may or may not be sure of it.
Yeah.
Um, so I feel like that for me has always kind of been something I've been very excited about. It's just networking and meeting as many like I don't want to say like quote unquote like heroes or icons, but like
But like people you
it's
look
real
up to, like there's a
yeah,
lot. Like,
there's a lot of people who have inspired me over the years and I've gotten to either connect with them on social media or meet them. And it's really cool. Like I've had a lot of people be like, "You know that person?" And I'm like, I mean, yeah, like we're mutuals. They're really cool. We're not like friends, like we don't hang out, but
do you want to
yeah,
give some
like there
shout
are
outs? Like, who are some of those people for you?
definitely Jisley.
Hell
Jisley
yeah,
is like
yeah.
someone I hold very dear to my heart. They're just such a dear person. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're creative and they're fun and they always bring really good energy to shoots and they're just someone I really love like snuggling up with and canoodling with like in Berlin generally like
Also, it's
um
like their impact on porn so big. Like that
yeah
they were getting nominated for AVN Awards as like a non-binary
yeah
person in like
yes
2010. That's so
I
crazy to think
know it's
about.
amazing it's so cool like to watch someone have that impact. I'm like,
Yeah.
dang, that is amazing. I watched someone cry when they met them and it was like you like really impact people. Like this is really
Yeah.
amazing. Um, Meeting Angela White at AVN was really amazing.
Yeah.
She's such a lovely person. I have wanted to shoot with her for a long time, but I feel like her career, like we started talking over the pandemic, and then her career shifted to more contract, and
Yeah.
I was still indie. And so I was just kind of like, I don't think this is gonna happen, but I still think she's an amazing person, and meeting her was really lovely.
She's so
Christy Mack.
genuine. Oh, she's so genuinely nice too, which is like so crazy.
Yeah.
Like I met
Oh God.
yeah, I talked to her a little bit after AVN 2 years ago, and I'm just like, you were such a nice and genuine person. Like that they were essentially an
Yeah.
indie porn star and then became like I think they're the
Huge.
greatest active porn star. Like all their
I'm
accomplishments are unreal.
yeah. I'm glad that you feel that way too, because I'm like, this person has been so authentically herself
Yeah.
the whole time. She has never buckled under pressure from people. She has never like I don't know what she deals with behind the scenes and how like takes care of herself
Hmm.
emotionally and everything. But I feel like the genuine energy of connection. I feel like maybe it's a water sign thing too. It's just like she's
Mm.
so authentically Pisces.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, and I think Jiz is authentically Scorpio. And like I love that. And I feel that as a Scorpio, just like passion, like just passionate.
Hmm.
Yeah, Christine Mack has been someone I've wanted to meet in person, but we connect online. We'll just like each other's stuff. And
Yeah.
that was really cool for me because I was like, you know, um, Janine Lindmulder, who was someone I grew up watching, and I was like, damn, this is someone who like genuinely enjoys like connecting with women and only connected with women for a very long time. Like watching her documentary was really emotional. She like also cried during her first like boy girl scene, which I thought was really beautiful. Um, and I really, I don't know, like there's just been so many awesome people that I have met in and out of like specifically the porn world. Meeting Midori was really cool. Like
Mm.
just people who have been like I don't know, even you. Like it's just like people who like I have just been watching like their careers develop over time and they're still doing it, you know. Nina Hartley, like all these people
Yeah.
who are like pioneers
I
and
think that's like the best thing about porn is you get to see these people have like these whole careers, and I really feel like it
hmm
goes back to us being like some sort of like combination between athletes and artists where you really get to like
hmm
see a person grow into themselves, and
hmm
like getting to see how much you have done over the years is so cool as well, where it's like just like having those other people who've been there the whole time you've been in this industry, and especially because we're like in the same genre with queer porn, like to
hmm
see it's like, oh my God, you're still doing things, you're still making cool stuff, you're still being in festivals. Like, I think it's just such a cool experience. Also, I think like porn's so cool because our generations are so small. So you can have someone who's inspired by you or you're inspired by, and they'll tell you about it in like a year, you know?
hmm Yeah. Or like I think with that like that's kind of been leading me into advocacy work because I will have people I mean, I've had people recognize me on the street. And I've had people recognize me going to an event and they're like, "Oh, are you?" Like when I went to AVN,
Hmm.
I didn't think anyone was going to know me. And then I had people coming up to me. They're like, "Oh my God, I adore you." Like, "Hi, I follow you online." And I'm just like, "Oh, thank you." Um, and that's really such a sweet feeling because you do
Yeah.
like you feel like, wow, people are like paying attention more than I think they are, you know, because I think a lot of our focus is you're either doing it for the goyles, you're either
Yeah,
doing it for the gays and theys, or you're doing it for the cishet men who are majority of our clients, right?
for sure.
Like our customers. So it's such an interesting thing from the perspective of a performer. You're like, who's my art, like who's my audience, you know? And I think
Hmm.
I've always tried to be like, no, everybody is welcome here. Everybody like and I feel like that's just kind of how I've been. And I really haven't had any, oddly enough, I haven't really had any pushback for just being authentically myself and like being openly queer. And like a lot of people have been like, wow, like you're really passionate in your girl scenes. And I'm like, yeah, because I genuinely like,
Because you're gay.
yeah, because I genuinely like having sex with all kinds of people. Like, yeah, bodies are great. People are hot. Like, yes. Why would I limit myself? That's weird. Um, but yeah, so I think it's been really um I don't know, just yeah, amazing being kind of the people, being a person that someone might look up to. And I imagine you feel that as well, maybe.
I feel like it's like being an indie pop star where 90% of people have no fucking idea. And then you'll meet someone who's like a queer from Croatia and they'll cry while meeting you. And you're like,
Yes.
okay, this is
No one
different.
knows you
Or
in your hometown, but you travel and someone random will be like, "Who? Oh my God, it's you." And you're like, "It's me. Hi."
yeah, it's my hometown's weird. So we don't really have people that go out of our hometown. So
Mhm.
like just to like my family is like, wow, you live in California? That's making it. Oh, you went to a red carpet before? That's making it, you know?
Aw.
So like especially I won Camp Perform of the Year in 2021. So that was like the moment where all my family I started getting all like the private messages being like, "We're so proud of you. You've accomplished so much and shit." Where it's like really amazing to
Sweet.
have this like now support, but I definitely feel early on when you're telling your family you're like, I'm gonna move cross country and try porn. Like just numbers
Ugh.
wise, that doesn't work out, you know?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
my high school has now two sex workers who've like made it. So my friend Lindsay, who I went to high school with, she was just in Nora and she was on
Very
stage at the
cool.
Oscars. So I'm like that we have two redheads from our high school who both moved to California and are doing sex work. I'm like, that's amazing.
Aw, I love that.
Yeah.
I
So,
actually remember. when I was in high school, and I remember seeing a classmate of mine dance at a club, and I was just like, "Oh, hi, how's it going?" And they were like, "Can you not tell anybody I work here?" And I'm like, "Nope, that's not my business to tell, but
Yeah,
good to see you."
I had something kind of like that. So I think it was like the homecoming queen of my high school. I came across her on FetLife. And apparently she's really into adult baby stuff, and I did not know that about her. And I was like, "Oh, okay, girl, you do you." Living your best fetish life.
I think that's that's kind of fun and hot for me is
Yeah.
people that you don't really know are going to be sex workers, but you know them as like a person, and
Yeah.
then you find out what they're into, and you're just like, interesting, interesting choice for you. Okay,
Yeah,
all
right?
right.
I'm more than everyone finding their fetish, but did not see that one coming.
Hmm. Hmm.
So you've been in this industry for it's coming up over 15 years now, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
what do you think you're like the most proud of that you've accomplished so far? Because you've done a
Hmm.
lot.
I know. I think that my really proud moment was the little 5-minute film that Jiz and I did for Hump. Watching that get picked up across the United States for Hump
Yeah.
because they started touring, but also watching that little 5-minute clip go over to Vienna, go over to Berlin, go
Yeah.
over to like international. And I was like, this is so cool. Like I taught myself Premiere Pro just to feel like that film had so many hiccups. Like the person who filmed it for us lost all of their content.
Oh my God.
And thankfully I had asked them for it before their hard drive had been corrupted
I'm like,
because I
do you
was,
want to call out the videographer?
oh yeah, I mean, they're lovely.
I'm kidding.
They're going by another name and I actually can't, hold on real quick.
Oh.
Um, uh, da, 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 da,
But
da.
it is like so crazy, like when you have something that's literally on your computer and then it goes out and like has this whole second life outside in the world and it's like going all over the country and all over the world. Like it's
Mhm.
just so crazy because you're like, this is a thing that literally existed on my computer in a timeline that no one else had access to.
Yeah, well, it was scary because we were so excited about it and it was so beautiful. And so the fact that I had asked for copies of all of the videos and then they lost all of the content and then I was able to like, oh my God, yeah, okay, I will edit it. And I learned Premiere Pro in like a month and I just really tried really hard to make it as cool and was going back and forth, which is, and they were like, "This is really good," and I was like, thank you so
That's
much."
amazing.
um, it was Izzy Dressler.
Okay. Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
definitely remember them. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Oh God, like amazing, amazing camera person and
So good.
videographer. And I'm so proud of that little 5-minute film because yeah, it just got picked up and it was everywhere for a moment. And we were getting asked if we could screen it. And I feel like a lot of people really remembered that film from us, even though it was like such a cute little scene. Um, so I was really proud of that. And
Yeah.
there was something so cool about watching it just get picked up and tour all over. And I was like,
It's
wow,
shit's so cool. Like
it is. I
that's
went
one
from
of the
like,
most rewarding things I think about this industry. Because like I always was in bands growing up, and I was always like, oh, if I can get my art to like Chicago, that's like a win, you know?
mm-hmm,
And now being like,
mm-hmm,
oh yeah, we're screening in all across these theaters in Europe and
yeah,
Australia. Like
I
there's
do.
this
Yeah.
festival in India this year that is doing a bunch of queer stuff. And it's like a
Ooh,
tour of India. It's 3 different cities. I'm like so excited about it.
that's really cool. Yeah, I think also international film festivals have been very um they've been more engaged with us. Like they're really
Hmm.
excited for what we're filming and like what we're doing here. So they're picking it up. And that's pretty cool because I feel like there are some festivals that are easier to get into than others.
Hmm.
And, you know, there have definitely been moments where I've watched Hump and I'm like, okay, uh, okay. You know, there are some very experimental films, and a friend of mine and I actually created a film festival based on the rejections of Hump
Oh,
specifically.
you're the rejected the failed film festival.
Well, yeah, we did. So we did Rejected, and
Oh,
then there was
okay.
still failed films. But I feel like that was really helpful for people in Portland specifically because they were like, "Why is it so hard to get picked up from Hump?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I've only had
It's
one
so
film get picked up from
difficult.
them."
Same.
Yeah, and then I've watched some of the other films and I'm like, mm-hmm, okay, okay,
Yeah, I don't.
you know,
I feel like it's like the most mainstream of like American porn screenings. And in some
Mhm.
ways, it's great to have that audience to see your work, but also I'm like, my 90-minute public disgrace scene is not gonna fit in that format, you know?
No, probably not. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think that there's definitely been a demand, not even like suggestion, but a demand for more queer, more diverse bodies, more melanin, obviously. And
Yeah,
yeah, I feel like most of the time it's very hetero,
for sure.
um, which is interesting because I'm like, you have a huge queer audience just dying to give you stuff. Um, but yeah, I think film festivals in general just like really exciting. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So I have one final question for you. Well, first off, like, thanks so much for taking the time to chat. I'm so glad we had a time to actually sit down and talk about porn because I feel like so many people in porn, like, we talk in passing, we see each other like once or twice, and we're like, oh,
hmm,
I love your scene here, or like whatever. And then it's like, okay, that's it. So whenever I
yeah,
get it, like a full hour to talk to someone like you, it's always like, just like really, refreshes my view of porn, you know?
yeah.
So let's say you wake up tomorrow and one thing could magically be changed in porn. What would you have it be?
Oh my gosh. Mm,
I can also tell you mine if you need a little bit of time too.
yeah, yeah, I would love to hear
Yeah.
yours.
So, like obviously testing in the adult industry is complete trash right now. So there's actually states run testing for another set of things like events for people, and they do like full drug testing, they do full like STI testing, and that's like stuff like MMA and boxing. Every state has their own commission that does that.
Hmm.
So I feel like it would be amazing if the state of California, Nevada, maybe a few other states that actually have porn instead of keeping us in this like legal gray area where everyone has to pay $200 for tests. Performers get in a position where they get a negative test and they hide it because they feel like they have to work. I would love, I don't know if I can trust any of these states, but I would love if there was like a state run program is a harm prevention thing to be like, we're going to do all free testing for the adult industry. Anyone in our state can get tested for free, have the database through the government just to
Hmm.
like eliminate all this kind of backdoor stuff where you have to go through one of the two places, whether it's clear, whether it's talent testing, which aren't perfect and are super expensive. Like, I feel like that would be such an
Hmm.
amazing thing if that actually happened here. Because
That is a
obviously
really good one.
there's so many sex workers in, especially Nevada and California, and we don't even have talent
Mhm.
testing here anymore in the Bay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I would say that personally, I get free testing. I get full panels. I get swabs. I don't feel like there's any reason why that should be deemed like lesser than being in talent testing, et cetera, et
Mm-hmm.
cetera, et cetera. And I definitely have had this conversation with another sex worker friend of mine where we're like, why can't, Planned Parenthood team up with,
Yeah.
like the same tests. I'm not, you're like,
Yep.
I'm not in the business of trying to like forge my tests because why would I do that to someone,
Mm-hmm.
let alone myself? Like, you know, I get cold sores. I don't kiss my partner like for, whatever. It's just like I don't know why people choose to be negligible in this. And I understand it, and I understand the very reason you said that, right? It's like people have to work and it's really
It's
rough when you have to say no. But
it really
I
is.
respect I respect people more when they come to me and they're like, "Hey, I pop positive for this thing. I'm not gonna be able to do it." Like I respect someone more for saying that
Mm-hmm.
openly and being like, "Yeah, no worries. Like, let me know when it clears." Like, but I think that that is a big one. I would agree with that. I would also say that, I mean, I've never worked for a big mainstream studio. I've worked for studios, but
Mm-hmm.
nothing like notable. But I would say that the same standard should be across the board. Like everyone should be, have their wages respected. Everyone should
Yeah.
have care on set. Everyone, like, I don't understand the people in the industry that are producers that wish harm upon their performers. I find that incredibly distasteful and I find it
Mm-hmm.
predatory. And so I think my wish, if I could change one thing, would be that producers were vetted to the same standard as performers.
For sure.
Um, and that if someone is a bad player in the industry, that they are held accountable. I think more accountability, like actually having some sort of like system where it's like, okay, like we've had multiple complaints from your studio, like, and there was like a database in which like some people are like on a probationary period until
Yeah,
they can
like
like
a bad date list for producers, essentially.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that that would be incredibly helpful to people like photographers, studios, anybody. It's like you have a page, like an IMDb. Is it
Or like
IMDb?
Glassdoor sort of thing that like the
Yes,
tech
where someone
industry
can,
has.
yes, like we have a rating system of like how awesome has this person been? Like there kind of was that model mayhem,
Yeah.
and on adult jobs, I think, um
Yeah.
where you can leave reviews and it's like this person was really great to work with. They were really
Hmm.
professional, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the people that are not getting those marks, like, are just not going to be worked with because they're just not people we can rely on. So yeah, I think either some sort of safety precaution database, like a bad date list, would be a lifesaver in a lot of situations. Like there's no reason why we should have a whole blacklist of people who are unsafe to work in this industry.
Hmm.
There's no reason why people who have like, had assault charges and,
Yeah.
SA and like all these things, there's no reason for them to be working in this industry. Like it just doesn't make any sense. Um and they're gonna have to fight harder to like get around those things and seek out people who are unaware of them. And I've seen it happen with photographers from Portland
Hmm.
moving out of state, trying to start a whole new identity.
Oh,
They're
it's so
still the
fucking
same
gross.
person. Yeah, like they're just now they have a new hunting ground. And I've worked with a lot of really great men in this industry, and I hate that the people that are not safe people that try to like use it as their own personal hunting ground or like you know push boundaries, that they're still here, and the people that are decent are not getting their flowers. They're not getting the highlight that they need. And it doesn't even matter, like, obviously gender doesn't matter because we
Hmm.
saw what happened with Lily Cade.
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know
There's very
Yeah.
few people that were actually like truly canceled in porn. It was like Lily Kate and Ron Jeremy. I feel like those are like the only two that actually had
Hmm.
got like kicked out of this industry.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think that's a really good thing, and I just think more sex workers talking to each other is just so important, and more
Yeah.
just like knowledge being shared. Where can everyone find you on like socials, websites, all of that stuff?
Well, I feel like I'm everywhere and nowhere at the same time right now.
Shadow band life. I feel
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, so Twitter is great. Hashtag or not hashtag. My handle is Vonbettie, Vonbettie. Instagram, precarious. I have an account that is a backup that's a backup to an account that got taken down. Um, but it is X Valentine underscore Von Betty X on Instagram. I have link trees attached to both of these. If people want to book me, then I have a website, which is darlingvalentine.me. And yeah, I think that I keep it pretty simple because I just have like my link tree that has like all my studio work and things like that
Hmm.
and podcasts and news articles and things like that. So yeah, my link trees are attached to my social media right now. And yeah, I've kind of, to be honest, I have slowed down on filming. Like
Hmm.
I love filming and I am excited when I'm excited, but it's not something that I'm working as hard in right now because it's really tough.
You have to feel
It's
inspired. Yeah, it has to be the right moment.
yeah, and it's it's hard to pin people down for trade work,
Hmm.
especially. It's hard to make sure we're on the same testing schedule. That people have lives to live right now, and I
For
think that
sure.
yeah. So I think my main focus has been advocacy. I am a co-president of the Oregon Sex Workers Committee right now here in Portland. Um, and so we're going to be at Portland Pride, which is really exciting. And if anyone's interested in donating to our org, we're always accepting
Yeah, you
donations.
should definitely do that.
Yeah, please.
Well, I
So
hope
yeah,
I hope everything continues going well with you doing all the advocacy. Like it's more important now really than ever.
yeah, it's been really amazing, and I feel really lucky to work with people who are just as excited to be leaders in our sex worker community and use the platforms that we have built that we hope to add to with more people and more participants and more anything like just more community and trying to get the things that we can control under control in our way, right? It's like we're taking our power back in a lot of ways and
Hmm.
harm reduction. So yeah, it's
It's
pretty
amazing.
cool. Thank
Well,
you.
best of luck on hopefully moving to the Bay if you move here. I'm sure we'll make some shit together. I'm sure
Yes.
whatever way possible. I'm like, we can use the more porn stars here, the better. So
I
you would be
know.
very loved in the Bay, but also it sounds like you're doing really important work in Oregon. And yeah, just thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It's been really lovely chatting with you.